Daybreak, Friday, and it's all happening for you. Like I promised, we're now going entertainment. Nigeria movie industry, famously known as Nollywood, is one of the biggest, no doubt, one of the biggest movie industries in the world today. Now, just like every other industry, film production has its potential and pitfalls. We're going to talk more about this. I'm not going to handle it. We have somebody who is well loaded here to give us all we need to know concerning film production. And that is in the person of LANRE ADEDIWURA.
Good morning, LANRE.
Good morning. I love the pronunciation.
I got it right.
Yeah, that was good.
I went to school just last night to learn how to pronounce your name correctly. And that all it means
That's
is
first class, you know.
thank you so very much.
Okay, crown turns gold.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
And your hair is golden.
Right.
that's a good thing.
Could you tell us more about us?
Okay, I had two show reels there. No, one was a show reel, the other was a trailer.
Okay.
One is a recent job I've done, premiering in London on the
Wow.
30th of the month. Sold out already, no tickets available anymore.
Wow.
Right, but the other one is like a throwback to after I resigned from broadcasting and I decided to follow my fortune.
Wait a minute. You were once a broadcaster.
Yes,
We'll come back to that. Yeah. Right on. We'll come back to that. That's,
right,
that's
so,
very interesting.
I left broadcasting in 2017 and I said to myself, I just have to follow my dream. I mean, I had a first love, which was filmmaking. So I went back after then, and the first production I tried my hands on was Akbasai, and that was the one that had my throwback. I was quite lean in that one. Yeah, not that I was lean that time, but
Now you're
just
chopping.
needed to-
You're chopping.
No. I just
Huh?
needed to go into character. So
Okay.
I went on diet just for me to fit in the role.
Deliberately and purposely.
Deliberately, apparently. So, you know, so that was Akbasai. And the recent one is Aleba, written and directed by me and produced by Christopher Gaffer. He was his first movie, and he came from UK. He said he wanted to produce a movie, and I said to him, you need to get trained. And yeah, we got on it, he got trained, and I said yes.
British?
Right. He's not, he's a Nigerian, but he's based there.
Okay.
So we got our hands on Aleba, and I said I was going to, for the first time, talk about men trafficking. Right. You know, when you go on the internet and you Google it, you type in trafficking, human trafficking, it's only about women. You know, they have more, you know, papers that have been submitted on women trafficking than men trafficking. So I said to myself, and there are men that have been trafficked, either for some businesses or some, you know, pimp businesses or gigolo businesses. So the idea began to, you know, come up. And I said to myself, okay, what about I portray a man who goes to the local village to convince people of bringing their children, their male children, to the city? You know, the excitement in the village. And this guy brings them to the city and assassinates their parents the night he takes them away.
My.
So they will not have any trace.
No, is this a reality?
Okay, so close to reality as a matter of fact,
Okay,
because I sometimes when I think about stories, I think about the believability of the story. You know, so I do not just go into my writing room. I want to see what people can relate with, you know, and that gave birth to Aleba. That means unreachable. You know, so this man feels he's unreachable. Haven't killed their parents, there is no trace anymore. Nobody's going to find them. So these guys are now used for his own personal, you know, businesses. You know,
LANRE,
those businesses I won't mention.
Let's talk about the beginning. You've already mentioned how you you made a paradigm shift from broadcasting to filmmaking. And I'm interested in knowing, how was it at the beginning? How was it something you would say was quite rosy for you, or you actually struggled with it?
So the dropping of broadcasting for filmmaking was not an easy task for me. Every man will have it, the fear of the unknown. Right? Am I not, you know, begins to set in. At that time I was married and I had this lovely boy in my in my world already. And the rate at which the boy was growing was alarming. And I was like, okay, this boy is growing so fast. One day he will look me in the eyes and say, Daddy, what exactly do you do? And would I have said that I have been able to drop my dreams long time ago and not following it? So I said to myself, no, I'm going to make this boy proud. funny enough, right now the boy is going to be 5 years, and he keeps saying to people, I want to be a filmmaker and an actor like my daddy. Like, I knew that was going to be his dream too. So I'd been in the industry since 2001, filmmaking world. I'd registered with Actors Guild of Nigeria. Then we had our meetings at National Art Theatre, that's NCACO, you know. But then I had been off and on doing stage, movies and all that. I did my first series, Two Sides of a Coin, as directed by Daniel Ademinokon that year. And at that time, I had no beards on, not because I wasn't growing beards. I was clean shaved, but I realized I wasn't given the kind of role I wanted. I was old in my age, but my face was just looking like a vampire. So they weren't giving me the kind of role, so they kept giving me secondary school boy. And I said to myself, come
Just
on.
because of your look.
My look.
You want.
I was like, so how long will I do this? So they paired me with younger people and said, no, this has to stop. So I began to build up the concept of beards, and you know, and the story began to change. So in 2013, I had this recommendation to work with a starting TV station that's under the leadership of Agatha Mata.
Okay.
And that was
okay.
Wave TV,
Yeah.
you know, and it was a fantastic experience for me, because right there she taught me so many things that I'm doing today. Because she said to me one day and said, Larry, your talent is not enough if you can't sell it. It's as useless as not creating anything. So you must be able to market what you've got. So she taught me the marketability of filmmaking industry via media, via broadcasting. So I was a media sales executive. Within the space of 4 years, I'd been promoted to the position of a business development manager. So at that time, I felt, yes, fulfillment came through that, but I wasn't totally fulfilled. So I needed to follow exactly my dream. You know, I want to be a free bird. I'm a creative person. I don't want to be confined to the four walls of an office. And I work from morning to evening, the routine, just a triangular movement, home, guest house, office, home, guest house, office. I said I needed to do more, break out of the box and all. So she understood with me, very great woman. And she said, Larry, follow it, that which is your dream. I was formerly hosting an art and culture program, and this is me. It
Now,
wasn't easy.
For some of, in short, all of us who are not in the industry, we do not know left nor right about what it entails. Now, being here, let's get everything we need from you, such as this, what film production entails in its entirety.
Okay, so production has 3 stages. As a matter of fact, 4 for me, because the point of conceptualization is oftentimes, you know, neglected. You'll have to conceptualize what you want to do first before you proceed to your pre-production. Now, your pre-production comes about bringing to life that which you have conceptualized. The story you have thought about, you need to bring them into a screenplay. Do a story treatment. Develop your characters. Do a character treatment, characterization. Begin to think about how you want to bring it to life. Get your crew, set your locations right, do a location recce, you know, get your crew together and have a production meeting.
Got to cut in there.
Do you understand?
Do you have to do all these things by yourself, or you have other people who assist in one way or the
Okay,
other?
so we have different people
Okay.
doing different things.
Okay.
You have a production manager.
Oh,
So you have
okay.
employed the service of a production manager who is involved with contacting some of these persons. For some independent producers, they have all of this crew readily available for them. So they have an idea, you know, on the get-go, they get these guys together and they begin to plan. So there is a location manager who is involved in finding the locations suitable for the kind of script. Right. So the director does the recce to be sure that what he has found is befitting, you know, enough. So if he's not okay with them, he calls for an alternative. So there's a recce. So it becomes a problem when some people don't really plan their shoot. That's why you find out their movie coming out, you know, with nothing but crap. You know, so apparently, so you have all of these plans as pre-production plans. You have sorted your accommodation, you've sorted actors, you've sorted feeding, you've sorted everything, equipment, and all.
And that's phase 1.
Pre-production. Phase 1.
Okay.
For me, in my own, you know, school of thought, phase 2, because after conceptualization, you come into pre-production.
Okay.
Production, okay.
That has oftentimes been ignored. So then you go into production proper. Now, production
Which is the final stage.
when you begin to film. We're filming for 9 days. We have rolled camera. The first roll, you have started your production. And that's where you have all the elements of directors, continuity, and every other person playing one or two roles that they are set to play. The gaffer, also known as the lightman, you know, and some other, you know, important personalities involved in. Now, it is not enough to have a production. The next stage of it, which is the most tedious of them all, is the post-production. So haven't shot the movie. So the 2 hours movie, you sit in the comfort zone of your home and you watch, has gone a lot in it. And that is why you see filmmakers clamoring for the government to help curb piracy, you know, some years back. Because these guys are making off what they did not sweat for.
When you say some years back, that implies
That
so
implies
it doesn't exist
it has
anymore.
to an extent been curbed, unlike how alarming it was those years. Now people are cashing out rather than crying to the bank. You understand? People are now smiling. So we have what I call digital revolution. Right. So hardly will you find people with video CD players. So no CD is being sold as it used to be, unlike then when you have video clubs at every point of every street, you know. So it's been digitalized. So that way I can easily stream my content live on YouTube. I can, you know, decide to do some certain sales for some YouTube channels or some, you know, cable networks. So that way it's easier for me to make money off my content, like what it used to be. So that's why I said those years. So it's no longer what it used to be. So the post-production entails the editing, the sound, the soundtrack, the color grading, and what have you. You export the production and you get to the 4th stage that people don't even consider at the point of conceptualization. So you're done with post-production and you're not hanging. Where to sell your product becomes a problem. So you must have defined your market, your target audience before you shoot. Your target market must be defined. Who am I filming for? Am I filming for YouTube? Am I filming for cable? Those are things you have to consider. So you now set out a fund for promotion.
Wow.
Okay, I was going to ask you, because with what you said, it's actually a lot that go into filmmaking.
Right.
5 stages that will involve,
If not more.
If not more, that will involve lots and lots of personnel. And I was thinking, so far so good for you. At this stage of your career, you mentioned earlier you wanting to be a free bird. So I'm assuming you're possibly working, you have a film company of your own, or do you actually go into partnerships if you want to achieve these movies?
Okay, so before now, I had no film production outfit. I had registered MLAN Media since I was a broadcaster, but I hadn't done my own independent production, you know, except for Akbaside I tried my hands on in 2018. But thereafter, it became difficult. I hadn't understood the market style that time. So I went into partnership, a couple of partnerships, you understand? And 2020 was a better year for me. I had partnership with a company, a production company, John Lee's Films. Yes, I'd known the MD way back when I was still a bachelor. And we ran into ourselves again, and they invested. I think in 2020 alone, I'd done about 5 movies for them. Right. So partnership works for me. But at the same time, 2021, I said to myself, it's a new beginning, a new dawn for me. I just have to start up some things. So I began the acquisition of some equipment for myself, for my personal use, you know, because there is a production of mine that I am planning. It's a series. Now, to shoot per episode of the series will cost about 6 million naira. So, which is huge. And that's about the capital you need to film some regular movies. So, per episode. So, and it's not easy. So, I have to film an epic, an adaptation of 300 Spartacus, a story I'd conceptualized for over 9 years now. So I said, this is the time to do it. So it's a high time I started something. So I also started my film academy this year. And so far, so good. I can say that I'm beginning to live my dream, because so many testimonies are coming out, you know, from my students stating that they've actually got the right place to be. So for me, 2021 came with so much of adjustment, because the film industry as a whole worldwide experienced a major setback, grossing less than what they had in 2019 due to the, you know, the coronavirus, advent and all of that. So that's it.
Now you've started talking money. Let's go the whole half. That's if you ask me, that's the most interesting part of this very talk. Tell us, how lucrative is film production?
Okay. It depends on how you say it. It's relative.
Okay.
Lucrative for some persons will be the starting point for gathering money.
Sure.
Some persons, if you want to make 50,000 naira per movie, you can't do a movie like that. If you want to start making 50 million per movie, you can do a thing like that. It depends on how big your budget is and the market you're targeting. I can film with 100 million naira. I can film with 1 billion naira. Now, the point here.
When you say a film, just one.
Yes.
So what's actually the most you've done so far?
The most I've done so far would be a production worth 15 million naira. Right. And that was recently done, titled The Day After Yesterday. And the target market is Netflix. Right. So that's why I said your budget will determine where you're targeting. Now, that brings about camera range, the kind of camera you want to use. So if I'm shooting a low budget, I shouldn't be thinking RED. I shouldn't be thinking Blackmagic Pocket Camera 6K. I should not be thinking Blackmagic G2 Pro. Right. So I might probably be thinking of Canon 5D Mark III or 600D or some other, cameras like Lumix, Sony, and the rest of them. I have to mention names for people to know all of these ranges. And so if I have a budget, first thing I look at is my story. Is the script worth it on this budget? So somebody is telling me I have 3 million naira, and you're having a script that states that you will be on boat cruise, you will go to some park, you understand, you go to some expensive places, and you begin to see glamour. Come on, I will have to review that budget by telling you, no, this script cannot be filmed with this amount. So it starts with your script. So when you tell me I have 2 million, I tell you, no, it's not about what you have, it's about the script you're bringing to the table. Yeah. So when I check your script, I'll be able to advise you and tell you, no, you will mess the story up, because some stories are better read than watched. And that's because they have messed up so many technicalities written by the writer in that story because of funds. So there is no amount you can film with. So that will now determine exactly where you want to sell to. Now, that's not to say that some investment didn't go wrong. For some persons have invested 20 million naira on a production, they haven't seen one naira. I have a brother like that who is begging me to help distribute a movie, and I said, I'm not a distributor. I've only got links, but I will see what I can do about it. He had invested a lot, but they messed it up. You can imagine somebody filming with an ARRI, and the production is coming out like you've used a Canon camera, like 5D Mark IV.
Whose fault was it?
Now, it's about the guys behind the camera. So I said, get the right crew, get the right equipment. So out of management, some persons will feel, oh no, by the time you start mentioning some certain lights, lighting equipment, and they feel you just want to make them spend. No, everything has got their definitions, their stories to tell. The way I would like to tell my story is different from yours. It's only in Nigeria that I see filmmakers getting overstressed because of budget. So a producer wants you to film 20 scenes in a day. A producer wants you to film 15 scenes in a day. Where we have the big budget productions, where people are filming 4 to 6 scenes per day. So if I have 6 scenes on my table to film per day, you can imagine how much creativity I will bring in it. So sometimes I film a scene and I go back to my rushes and I tell them, delete, I'm refilming it. That's because I have the luxury of time to play with. My creativity is at work. But on my schedule, I'm having 15 scenes. And I've realized that there is a scene that is bad after the day shoot. Rather than me rescheduling it for the next day, because I know I'm having 17 scenes the next day, I will manage. I just say, it's manageable. Because I do not have the time. So when you tell producers, sorry, I cannot film more than 6 scenes in a day, they feel, don't go to him. I know, he will make you spend. Is it about making you spend or making you see the value for your money? And those are different things. So you can make as much as you want in the industry, depending on how grounded you are. Where are you selling for? What's your aim? I cannot be targeting Netflix and I'm using a 5D Mark III. There I failed. And somebody is telling you, the director is telling you, no, I'm filming cinematic. Cinematic. First, check the equipment you're using. You're not even meeting the cutoff mark. They've got their camera description that it has to be 4K camera upward in resolution. And some of these cameras, except you know about them, some they will carry 4K, but they are not giving you 4K resolution. They're giving you 3.6K.
My.
So you need to understand all this. So for you to come into film business, it has to be with you having a knowledge and understanding of what you want to do.
And working with the right
And working
people.
with the right set of people. That
Now,
way you see the value for your money.
Another interesting part is the part that concerns us, you know, when talking about
Yes.
when he mentioned the fact that he was
He was a
once a
broadcaster.
broadcaster. Okay, was it radio or television? Let's
It
start
was
from there.
television.
Television.
I started with radio. I bless his soul, Chief Femi Robinson, the headmaster in Village Headmaster, was my trainer.
That's
way
interesting.
back then. So I was usually anchoring a program for him on radio, you know. And after he passed on, I moved on with my career on stage, and then I got a call to work with TV. That was Rave TV. That's been the only TV station I'd worked for, and I resigned with, you know. So was TV. I was on a breakfast show like this. So, and someone saw me this morning and said, you came quite early. And I said, oh, gone are the days when we
yeah.
So gone are the days we go to the studio waiting to roll by 6:30 because there are no excuses for the audience.
Thank you
they
very
want
much.
to see you at that time.
Can you please repeat that?
There are no excuses for
For
the audience.
late coming.
For late coming.
Thank you
So
very
you
much.
just have to roll at that set time.
Okay, let's talk about where you are currently and what are the plans for the future.
Okay, so where I am currently, have I started living my dream? Yes. Are there prospects? Yes. Do I have frustrations and limitations? Yes. Now the limitation will be for people who see my craft and fail to invest in me. Because we need investors, no doubt about it. The greatest ideas, they say, are in the graveyard. But those ideas struggle to surface if only somebody somewhere decides to invest in. So I am saying that I do not know how long I've got to live for, but pending that time, I expect huge investment to come around, so these ideas will not just be big in my head, they will come alive. So those are limitations. Finance, we need investors. There are creative ideas. For instance, I can't be discussing with a potential sponsor over a script. I need to film a pilot. So it means for the production that will cost 6 million naira per episode, I need to shoot an episode as pilot shoot. So I won't have to talk too much. I just slot it in and you're seeing it. That way you get interested in investing. So we need investors. Aside that, we need an industry. It's a major problem. Hollywood, I know. Bollywood, I know. Nollywood, I do not know. We do not have a place of our own to even start talking about Film Village. So you're filming somewhere, some touts. Just recently, some touts around Aja, you know, attacked some filmmakers. They had settled them with an amount and they claimed it was too small. And they attacked them, injured, stabbed some of these crew members. These are things we're faced with. But if we have got a film village where no intruder comes in and we can build our kind of set on them and, you know, and we move on, then we're good. Where are the grants? These are things that the Hollywood guys survive on. Where are the government grants for short films, for some productions? There are no there. Now the governments claim they release these funds. Who do they release them to? Are they guys that circulate the funds to guys that are creative? I mean, these guys have been there. They are veterans, much respect to them. But we have some young, vibrant guys now that have got, you know, crazy ideas that the government needs to be talking to. Because if we look at it, entertainment adds hugely to our GDP.
Yeah, I agree with you.
And we can't take that out. So if you know that this is a means to an end, this is something that brings about returns on investment, then it should be hugely invested in. But unfortunately, you need to have a link to get to such funds. It's not something that you just walk through and you get just like that. That's even if you know your way around it. So it's a major problem. They should talk to the right guys. Now digitalization, we are social media. How often do they utilize social media? Do they find these guys out? So these are things, these are means that we think the government can actually step in and begin to help. enough of the barbaric way of filming, the archaic way of filming. We're done with those styles. There are so much equipment in now that we can't even afford because there are no investors in it.
Okay, now let's because we are already out of time. It's interesting you mentioned how your original career was broadcasting. I would have asked you what it was you would have done if you were not making movies. How about we put you on the spot here, have you act as a broadcaster? Let's see, because at this point I guess we're all curious to see how you do it in the past. So
okay,
all yours.
2017, 2018, 2019, that's 4 years.
Yeah. So let's do a throwback to 4 years ago.
Okay, and the program is, what's the program again?
Okay,
Because we have to use this program.
This is
Daybreak.
Daybreak.
Okay, so
On iBrandTV.
that's my camera, right? Okay, you will take some part of acting though, because acting has actually mixed up with it
Yeah,
for broadcasting.
sure. And that's going to
Hello,
make it more interesting.
my name is LANRE ADEDIWURA. Yes, and you're welcome to Daybreak on your #1 TV station, iBrandTV. Today, Friday, the 9th of July, 2021, and of course, Entertainment Day. And don't forget, we'll be having a guest soon in the studio. But before then, let's have fun, let's unwind, because it's TGIF.
Yeah.
We start out in the studio today, and after the break, we'll come with our guest for today. Guess what? This guest is somebody you will all love to see. So stay tuned, don't change the dial.
I love
Michael, this is wonderful.
Okay, this you think we're going to bring him here?
I guess. I would step down for you for the Monday.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
Wow.
it's been a fabulous one.
That's LANRE ADEDIWURA.
Yes,
Did I get it again?
you got it again.
Beautiful. Now, he's taking us through the nitty-gritty of film production. Quite interesting. And I feel like becoming like him one of these days. Then I'm going to tell my own story. Once I was a broadcaster, now a filmmaker like LANRE. Okay, that's been it. Larry, thank you so very much
Thank you
for your thoughts and for throwing more light on what production entails, especially in this part of the world. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Larry.
Thank you so much for
nice having you
appreciate
around.
it. Appreciate it.
Okay, it's been an interesting one on the show today. We'll take a very short break now, and when we get back, we'll wrap up the show with what's going down on social media. Yes, don't go anywhere.